Wrong button! Jeez. Sorry. Oh, man. Lights aren't even on. Sorry about that, you guys. Definitely not prepared this evening. Hang on. Ay, ay, ay. Think I know what I was doing here. Anyway, what's going on? Welcome to the Child of Mecha live stream. I am your host, Tim, the one and only Child of Mecha. It is Monday, so we're back on the GBWC build tonight, you guys. And for those of you that were guessing anything other than the bear guy, I don't know. I wore this today. I mean, why wouldn't you guess this? I literally wore this 5 hours ago. Technically, I've been wearing this all day, so. Anyway. Welcome. Alright, so let's get down to it. If you want one of these cool-ass Bear Guy t-shirts, you can get one at www.childofmecha.com. Hit the store button up at the top. You will find this shirt, many more hats, prints, and all sorts of other cool stuff. So, go stock up. I hear they make great shelter-in-place presents. If that's a thing. I don't know. Anyway, we are going to be working, again, like I said, on the GBWC build, so if you're interested in the tools and materials that we will be working with here tonight, there is an Amazon link just below here on Twitch and YouTube. That side, if you're watching on Facebook, I do get a bit of a commission based off the stuff that you buy, but it doesn't increase the cost for you. It just goes to help me out, help out the stream, help all this cool stuff that we're about to do and embark on. And I talked about it a little bit more, this morning, well, this afternoon. But we'll kind of recap for those of you that kind of missed this afternoon's stream. Okay. John Lynn, Miss John Lynn, sweet baby J, she's over there creeping freely for you. She says, I'm thinking about nabbing a Bear Guy bag. Cute AF. I think John Lynn's probably had a bit too much to drink today. She turned 21 today, you guys. So, real quick, let's get a round of happy birthdays for Jay. Just real quick over there on YouTube. If you wouldn't mind, happy birthday, John Lynn, right? So, but as always, if you are in need of kits, paints, accessories, tools, Mecha Decal Sheet 2, by the way, which is in stock and shipping now, highly suggest you hit up our boys down here at USA Gundam Store. Adam and the fine folks down there will definitely have what you need. Yes, 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 yes. All right, so Bill, you're gonna start it off here.
We have a question.
He says, did your care packages arrive today? Honestly, Bill, I haven't had a chance to get to the post office today. I will try my best tomorrow. Maryland, unfortunately, today got our official stay the hell home orders from the governor. Not necessarily a shelter in place, per se, but a very, very strongly worded bit of advice. Yeah. Evidently, they arrested some folks last week for not adhering to the crowds over 10 mandate here in the state. So that was strongly enforced. So it's a bit of an odd time here in my state. So I will try my damnedest to get to the post office tomorrow. Thank you in advance, by the way. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens tomorrow, and hopefully I can get over there and pick up whatever may be there. Okay, cool, Good stuff. All right. Let's see. Okay, so let's talk about real quick, and I talked about this on this afternoon's John Lynn says, thanks guys, I drank, I have heartburn, but hey, I got some lasagna warming up in the microwave for me. Huh. Alright. She's enjoying her birthday at least. Alright, so like I said, we talked a little bit about future endeavors this afternoon and stuff like that. So obviously with being laid off, we're fast tracking a lot of stuff, right? Obviously, we've got the live streams locked into place, basically full time on that. We've already talked about videos and stuff like that. That's fast tracked. That's I said this afternoon, creeping ever closer to actually getting those recorded and everything. It's a process for me since I used to do that for a living. So I want shot lists. I want clear and concise video lists and all of that stuff, So I just can't go willy-nilly and just be like, hey guys, look what I do. I can't do that. That's not me. That's not in me. I need to be a little bit more, more organized than that when it comes to shooting videos and stuff. So that's, like I said, creeping ever closer. We've talked about launching the Patreon thing. That's obviously going to come with the videos. The book that we've talked about in the past obviously needs to be fast-tracked at this point, and we talked a little bit about this on this afternoon's stream about what kind of that entails, right? So what I'm thinking, what my vision for the book is at this point is to have a pretty concise list of at least 50, at most 100 examples of details that you can add to your model to make it more unique, right? Whether they be, scribed in details, whether they be pre-made details like Kotobukiya parts and stuff like that, combinations and things, scratch built details, from beginner to advanced. That's kind of what we're looking, kind of to have in this book and what it's going to be about, right? So that obviously needs to be fast tracked at this point. And then also too, I kind of had this idea over the weekend, and I talked about it earlier on the early stream about starting a podcast, right? And not necessarily your normal podcast, and nothing like Joel and the boys at the Cutting Mat do. I don't want to necessarily step on their toes. I want to keep mine and theirs kind of unique, right? So what I had in mind was to do kind of like an inside the actor's studio type of one-on-one interview type of thing. Have select people on that are that are in this hobby, and then just basically kind of pick their brains and stuff like that, get some background, get some meaningful details and stuff like that. I think that'll be really kind of a cool thing to really kind of get to know people, and just kind of find out what makes them tick, and what their background is and all that kind of fun stuff, right? I don't, to the best of my knowledge, think there's anything like that in our hobby as of yet. So I I think it'll be fun, and I think it'll be really, really interesting, and hopefully you guys will enjoy it. Right? I've pretty much already made up my mind that it's going to happen at this point. I think the toughest part of it is trying to think of a name, because I don't know what to call it at this point. So we'll come up with something. But anyways, that's going to happen. So yeah, a lot of plans in the mix, right? Handren has a really good question about the videos and stuff like that. So he says, so you're going to have special videos for Patreon like Link? No. Well, sort of, kinda. But this is the thing, where Lincoln has where he kind of paywalls almost his content. Mine will not be like that. The way I see Patreon is more like a tip jar, where he uses it kind of more as almost like a subscription service. So my Patreon will be more perk based, right? Now, what I kind of meant by sort of is that, like outtakes, behind the scenes, little things like that will definitely be exclusive to patrons, right? The tutorials and the really kind of nitty gritty stuff, it's not my style. Right? I don't fault Lincoln for what he does. He makes he's a professional, and that's his living, right? So that's what he does, and I think it'll be really, really good. But it's just not what I'm going to do. I'm going to go in a different direction. So, but I think that's a fair question, Handren. I think that's a completely fair question. Going back here, Mr. Bill Rushlam, says, so the book will sort of be your simple details class with some more examples. A lot more examples. Like I said, at least 50 examples, but no more than 100. I want to kind of shoot for that 100, right? Because there's so many variances on details that you can put in your model or put on your model or what have you, that I will not have any sorts of issue hitting that 50, but making them unique enough to hit that 100, that's kind of the question that remains to be answered at this point, right? So that's yeah, that's still up in the air. But again, great question. Manny, Mr. McDew, he says, get on it, Tim, before someone else runs with it. Well, I've already stated it, so it's already my idea, right? So, boom, there you go. Greg Blair says, how about just the Mecha Army podcast? It's alright. It doesn't necessarily speak to what it is, right? William Wilms has a question. Here we go. Have you thought about selling your book as a digital download like Josh's? That's going to be up in the air. If it happens, it will not be a pay what you want. No. It'll be one price only. And obviously it'll be available on, USA Gundam Store. So, but yeah, that's kind of the idea, right? Kind of the idea. Now, real quick, guys, for everybody over on Twitch, for some strange reason, Twitch is acting a bitch today. I can't see Twitch comments on my chat program. So I have to switch back and forth between the Mecha Army Facebook group and Twitch. Superset says, why not the Mecha podcast? A little general, I'd say. A little general. But, you know, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Mr. Bill Rushlami says, how about live from the modeling bench? Technically, it's going to be a podcast, so it won't be live. So, and then Miss Tex Marquise Armida, she says, one-on-one and only. We'll shelf that one. We'll think about it. Space Rat 53 says, hello there, starting on my Master Grade Sinanju Stein Verka tonight. Making this my first project build of the year to see what I can do with it. Got some add-on parts from USA Gundam Store. Excellent. Bill says, since I presume it will be about modeling and not just Gunpla or mecha related. Yeah. Let's see. Handren says, because if you go the patron route, it might neglect the free stuff you're already doing at the same time, making the patron membership less attractive. It doesn't come with special content. Yeah, well, see, that's the thing, Handren. I think we have two different outlooks on what Patreon is. I see it more as a tip jar and not a subscription service. So, based off of what I do and what we will be doing, if you enjoy that, then hey, you know what? Throw a tip my way and support on Patreon, and then, you know, there are some cool perks added on, right? So that's more my thought direction at that point. So yeah. Kenneth Sims over there on YouTube, he says evening. Good evening, Kenneth. Charles Dodge is over there. He's got a question.
We have a question.
Lots of questions tonight so far. All right. He says, why are metal details called photo etch parts? Does it have to do with the photo etching process to remove the negative space in the detail of parts? Easy answer? Yes. But not all metal details, obviously, are called photo etch, just the photo etched parts, right? I mean, you can have a ton of other details, you know, metal thrusters, metal little bits that you know, install to your model and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's all kind of there. Gumbel Uruguay, how about selling signed copies? I haven't really thought about that, but that's not a terrible idea, I guess. I mean, why would anybody want my autograph? I don't know. Anyway, look at this guy, Choco Falcon. What? Mr. David Liu? Hi, David. What's going on, brother? He says, sounds fun. Lots of work and planning to make it work well, but pretty sure you will do well like your channel. Dude, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Man, you know it's a good day when you got a GBWC champion in your chat from Singapore, man. I love David's work, and if you don't follow David at Choco Falcon on Instagram and Facebook, you don't know what you're missing. He's amazing. Very, very talented individual. Highly huge fan of his. Kenneth Sim says, wasn't Tim planning to write a modeling book? Yeah, and that's kind of what we were talking about a little bit. Rusham says, not all metal detail or photo etch. Photo etch is really just, yeah, the thin stuff. Exactly. Julius Dembski says, I build giant robots podcast. Hey. Armina says, not my best. That's okay. Fudabeoi says, breaking plamo. Mr. White? Sorry. Whenever I get a Breaking Bad reference, I always go to that first episode where what's his name was like, you know, he sticks his head up, he's like, Mr. White? It's just quintessential line of that entire series, at least for me. Handren says, the daddy of Mecha podcast. That just, no. Sorry, Handren. That's just, no. I appreciate the thought, but no. Let's see. Handren says, in that case, go Kofi. Kofi is more like a tip jar. Yeah, but trust me, there's going to be some extra stuff. Just wait. Wait. Manny says, inside the modeler's studio. That's not terrible. That's not terrible. And everybody's giving their opinions on freaking on the name and everything. Just stop it. Anyway. Let's see. Furubeoi says staying off the sweet tea. I kind of like that one, actually. But maybe not for this. Charles Dodd says DMC on Plamo Gunpla. Nice. Armida says DMC honestly sells itself. Yeah, but that's more Pab's thing, right? Pabby. Anyway. So, but yeah. So that's like I said. We're gonna... I'm gonna brainstorm that. We'll figure it out, and we'll make that happen. Hopefully sooner rather than later, right? So expect all that stuff sometime, hopefully in the near future. But yeah, busy little bee here. Busy little bee. So with that being said, let's jump into it. Let's go camera 2. Here we go. Now, if you happen to remember last time we were together working on this, which was last Wednesday, we did some scribing here. Let's get zoomed in so you can kind of see what we did. We did this cool scribing here on the arm, and if you remember back before that, we did some scribing there. This all looks really quite nice. And then what I went ahead and did, took the liberty of scribing the back here, and just basically made, 3 vertical lines down here, 2 of the perimeter scribes, and then 1 straight down the daggone middle there. And that's a 0.3 where these are 0.15 on the outside, and then we just did a couple floating scribes. I wanted to try to simulate kind of almost like folding doors, like they would just hinge open, and you could get to the mechanics and everything that way, right? So that's kind of what that looks like. I really like that look, because it almost reminds me of what kind of what the tricep, the back of your arm looks like, because it has two separations there, and that's kind of what that looks like. So that looks really, really nice. This up front has that nice detail that we've all come to kind of expect for the front of the the upper arm and everything. So now what we're going to do is we're going to kind of transition down into the lower arm and hand unit and all that good stuff, right? So with this one, obviously the Jesta has 2 very, very different forearms, right? This one has the the magazine rack. This one has the beam saber kind of holster, or whatever you want to call it, and this all just folds up, and boom, there's the beam saber, and that all basically locks back into place, right? So while significantly different, we are going to try our damnedest to keep the aesthetics very similar, right? We did that on airdrop, right? And I think we did it pretty damn successfully, if I do say so myself. So I have no reservation that we can do the same thing on this guy here as well. So yeah. Anywho, hey, Dean's with us. What's up, Dean? Spacer FD3 says, what are we talking about here tonight? Plans for a podcast? Yeah, dude. Kind of a one-on-one, get to know ex-modeler type of thing. Think about inside the actor's studio, but for kind of our thing, our hobby, right? So, and the cool thing is that I have like I have a laundry list of people to ping on this and kind of hopefully participate, right? So could be really interesting. Could be really, really interesting. So I'm hoping it'll be a hit. Let's put it that way, right? And I'm hoping that you guys will enjoy it. So, let's see. Ruslam says, Space Rat, the podcast is going to be on modeling, not just Gunpla or mecha related. Is it? I don't know if we decided that. It's going to be definitely Gunpla centric. Let's put it that way, right? People within our hobby, people that we're familiar with, all that good stuff. So, yeah. Joel Stone says the chopping mat. I already said, Joel, that we're not going to tread into the chopping mat territory, or the cutting mat, or whatever you assholes call it. No, it's going to be completely unique, because I don't want to. I'm not trying to compete with those guys, because those guys do a great job, right? This is going to be something completely different and unique, right? So, we can live side by side at that point. Yeah. Fudabayo says, oh, Gunpla Network, I think, does or did a thing like that. Did they? But let's be honest. Did they? I know they did. That's a rhetorical question. Don't answer it. It just wasn't very good. Ultraman Dinah says, how about Child of Mecha Max for the name? This isn't the 90s. I don't need to be extreme, nothing like that. Joel says, you gotta call it the chopping mat. Dude, I cannot do that. No. Jesus. Dean says, can you still buy Gunpla right now? Yeah, dude. USA Gundam Store. They're wide open for business. I know last time I talked to Adam, they were getting hammered with orders. Like crazy amounts of orders right now. So, yeah, you need something? USA Gundam Store. They're rocking. They are rocking right now. So, yeah. Open for business. All right. Let's talk about what we're gonna do. What we're gonna do here, right? So what I want to try and accomplish here. My issue with the Jesta forearm here, for at least for the beam saber rack here, right, is that it, for as volatile as a beam saber can be, and as dangerous as we've seen a beam saber exploding can be, there's not a lot of protection for the beam saber on the Jesta's forearm, right? Let's be honest. All the Jesta would really have to do is bump that thing into another mobile suit or a ship or something like that, or just like whatever, or catch some stray fire to it, and they're at least goodbye arm, if not total catastrophic failure for the mobile suit, right? And we've seen this in shows before, where and I think it was Thunderbolt, where they it might have been Thunderbolt, it might have been another one, I forget which, but I think it was Thunderbolt, where they exploded a freaking beam saber, and right? Dangerous little suckers. Dangerous. So, with that being said, I would like to definitely add a little padding, at very least, or just some reinforcement to kind of protect this from collisions and stuff, right? So I think that's what we're going to be starting with first, right? I think it kind of, at this point, it really just begs for it. Let's put it that way, right? So, yeah. Fudube always says, Tim's little darlings. Aww. Womp womp. No. Nice try, Fudube. I do, I appreciate that. Kenneth Sim says, time for Gunpla panic buying. Whew, tell me about it. Okay, that's a good one. Handren, I got it. Well, let's give it up for Handren. He says the Plot Plates podcast. That's not bad. That's not bad. I respect that. I respect that. Anyway, Dean says, Tim, do you have any tips on hand brush painting? I'm about to perform the deed in a few hours. I personally do not hand brush, Dean. I am sorry. But I know my boy Justinius Builds, has a wonderful video tutorial on that very subject. Go hit that, and I'm sure you'll probably pick up a pretty good amount of information there. So, Justinius Builds. Yeah, go check it out. Go check it out. Let's see. It's Thunderbolt Banded Flower. Yeah. Well, this is kind of the first one, right? Okay, cool. Done. All right. So, with that being said, let's kind of figure out what we're doing here. Let's pull the hand out of that. Let's get that out of the way. And there we are. We kind of have a flat base to work with here. So, what I'm thinking, what I'm thinking is basically follow kind of the height guidelines and everything as this block here, this kind of locking mechanism, right? It just kind of locks that in, and it's harder for the beam saber to fold out, right? So I think what we'll do is follow the foreign language of that and kind of build up some plastic strips and everything, and then just kind of bring that down and start to taper it down, and kind of build up some areas in here as well. And yeah, I think that's a safe bet. I think that's what we're going to do, right? Dean says, isn't that for acrylic only, or can you use it with other types? It's a very good question. I do not know. I don't know. Yeah, Taz, Bill says you could hit up Taz. Gundam Taz on Instagram does a lot of that stuff. So, yeah. Oh, the white dot, right there, Kenneth. Kenneth Sims says, is it me? Or keep seeing white dot on Tim's forehead when he's reading the yeah, it's just the thing. Gunpla Miami, Chris, hosting. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate that, buddy. It's from these, right? It's focusing the light. If I fold that up more, it goes away. That's all. Charles Dodge, any paint that you wouldn't thin with water, don't use a wet palette. There you go. Rocking. All right, let's get this. So, like I said, we want to kind of build up this area back here a lot more to kind of mimic, like I said, the form language with this block here. So, what we've got, let's get some measurements going first, right? What we've got at the shortest or the thinnest area here is about 3 millimeters at this back end taper right here, right? And honestly, we could very well just build this out and make that straight, right? That wouldn't be a terrible thing. Now that I think about it, it might be a good thing. Yeah, because all of this whole section here, this whole back section, the blue, is all just one. It's all connected to that side, the side piece right there, right? Yeah, I'm kind of thinking we might do that. Just square this off, right? Have it kind of mimic the look of the mag rack there, yeah? I think we might do that. I kind of like that idea now that I think about it. Fill in this area here, bump that up to the same level, bump this level here up to the same level as this, and then just square everything off, get everything padded and everything. Yeah, I think so. I think so. Anyway, that's what we're going to do. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. All right, so, hey, let's see. Hey, a couple people have come over from Zach's stream. Welcome, everyone. Patrick Robertson, Zaku is done. He sent us over to you. Hey, thank you. Well, if you're into detailing and customizations and building and all that, well, you're in the right place. Jason Collar? Jason, I'm sorry if I'm butchering your last name, buddy. He says, Zaku sent me. That's awesome. And DT Warrior, he says, Zup, Sack, send me here. Excellent. Welcome, gents. Appreciate it. So, like I said, what we're doing here, we're working on the hopefully the 2020 GBWC build here. We are retrofitting a master grade Jesta. We're remixing it, like you saw on Gunpla Talk, and we're turning it into actually kind of a remixed RX-78, right? So that's what we're doing here. So right now we're focusing on the forearm, and we're modifying that and customizing it and all that good stuff. So let's jump right in. Let's get this party started here. Let's get this thing disassembled first, right? Let's pull off all that good stuff, and then we need to get these pull that, and then we need to get these side pieces yanked off here. There's one. There's two. There we go. Cool. All right, so now what we're going to do is we need to figure out what length, and that looks like it's going to need a 6.3 millimeter strip here. Let's see. Do we only have... here we go. Here's the 1 millimeter. Huh. I don't even think we're going to need the 1 millimeter for this. I think 0.75 will be appropriate. Let's see. Yeah, I think that'll be fine. All right, cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to backfill this little recessed section in here first, right? Because we need to bring everything up to the same level, and then we'll fill that in on both sides, right? So let's get some plastic strip cut here. There we go. Pieces for both sides now. And our Bob Smith. Good old standby, yeah. And now, fill this in. Just like that. Now, we're going to spread that out a little bit. Maybe just a tad bit more, just so we make sure that we're filling this whole gap in here. Yeah, perfect. All right, and just like that. That looks pretty damn good so far. Even though it's just one piece, it's a start, right? Let me see here. William Williams, he's got a question.
We have a question.
Let's see. Wouldn't it be easier to chop that end off and just add plastic to give it that square look? Not really. Not really. Because building it up rather than tearing it down is usually going to be easier, right? Jason Callaire. Thank you, Jason, for the pronunciation. I really appreciate that, buddy. Jason says, love Gunpla Talk. Glad Simon is back. Missed him. Dude, you're not the only one, man. I was thrilled that he was back yesterday, and I just, man, I could not believe that, right? So, Chris Deger? He says, oh shit, are you the guy who made the airdrop Jesta for GBWC? I am. The airdrop is my baby. Yes. Michael Dawson, he's over there on the Mecha Army Facebook. He says, boxed my G3 build. I hit writer's block with adding details, so now I'm back on my Alex 2.0. Man, don't you hate it when that happens? I do. And it's happened to me at least twice now, right? The GM Spartan, and then the way back the Barbatos, the OG Barbatos, not the master grade, but the first 1/100 scale Barbatos. I was customizing that, and I just kind of lost interest. So yeah, it happens. Sometimes the model just doesn't speak to you, you know? Sometimes it just does not. It's like Marie Kondo. It does not spark joy, right? Alright. Ooh, get back on there. There we go. Alright, so we've got these two little recesses filled in quite nicely. We'll give this a little hit of Instaset here. Let that guy sit off to the side. This one should be good at this point. Yeah, and that looks nice. So what we're going to do here first is to trim back that and that. And then also to this front section here just a wee bit. Just a wee bit. There we go. All right. Let's see. Julie Stemsky, Sarge, he says, I just had a thought for a podcast named the Mecha Briefing Room or the Mecha Debriefing Room. It's not bad. It's not bad. I'll catalog that one. So, yeah. Chris Degger, that is an amazing build. Love all the details. I came from Zaku's stream. Thought you looked familiar. Yeah, dude, that's me. The main co-host of Gunpla Talk. But yeah, we have fun with it. Mr. Julio Aponte, Mr. Clippin' Nubs, he's over there. He says, bring me joy. Yeah, you bring me joy, buddy. All right, so first what we got to do is we're just going to trim this piece down and make this the same general level as this piece here, right? Now, this is a bit tricky, and it doesn't, honestly, this doesn't have to be, you know, super accurate, because obviously we're going to be plating over this and filling this in and all that good stuff. So if it's not 100% super duper accurate, it's not a huge deal at this point. Okay, keep that in mind. But that's pretty damn good. We'll hit this with a bit of the file. Yeah, that looks pretty nice. Good. We'll come back and finish that later once we get everything else plated up. But we need to bring this piece up to the same level as this, right? So first things first, what we got to do is clean the super glue squeeze out from here, because if you don't do that, that's obviously going to cause problems when you try to glue another piece of styrene right up next to this this piece, right? So we clean that out, make that corner as clean and crisp as we possibly can, just like that, and now we can fit another strip of styrene right up against it with zero issues, right? So let's see, that looks to be about 3 millimeter or so. And by the looks of it, we might need like a 1/4 millimeter. Let's see, maybe half. Yeah, let's go with half. That looks about right. That looks about right. All right, well, that's what we're going to use. Put that off to the side. Let's get this guy glued on here. There, you can see how these two strips just butt right up against each other, and you got a little overhang, and that's good. That's what we want, right? But that will make it much, much easier now to get everything nice and level here. We'll hit that with a bit of our Instaset. And now let's go back to this first piece here and just kind of wipe off the residue and get that nice and cleaned. And what we'll do is clip this down as well, just like that. Just like that. And then we've got to trim this down just like we did the other one to the same level as the main piece, right? But make sure your digits are out of the way because you don't want to get cut with this knife. Just like that. And boom. There we are. That is good enough. We'll hit this with the file here real quick to kind of really finish that leveling process off there. And like I said, this doesn't have to be super, super accurate right this second. It just has to be good enough, right? Jean-Luc Rury, he's over there on Facebook. He says, good evening. What's up, Jean-Luc? Donnie Baxter, he's also over there on Facebook. He says, dang woodchucks. Yeah, well, what are you going to do, right? And everybody's got a name. Everybody's got name suggestions at this point. Like, geez. Michael Dawson over there on the Mecha Army Facebook group, he's got a question. Look at this.
We have a question.
Would parts sitting in some 91% isopropyl alcohol overnight be ready for painting? They should be. Yeah. They should be. Now, one thing that you would want to do is to give them a nice rinse and just some water, right? Take them out of the 91%, rinse them off real nice with water, let them dry completely, okay? And don't touch them with your bare hands at this point because you've got essentially a pristine surface to work with. So put some rubber gloves on, some nitrile gloves, what have you, and until those parts are primed, do not touch them with your bare hands. Imagine they have Corona. Yeah, the big V. Because, like I said, those are pristine parts at that point after they come out of the alcohol. They are absolutely perfect, right? You can't get any cleaner than that. Use some gloves, rinse them off with water, let them dry completely, and then hit them with your primer of choice, and then, it's off to the races after that. But yes, they should essentially be ready for painting after that. Yeah, good question, Michael. Great question. Julio over there, he says, I have a question. Can I be on the podcast? Yes, Julio, you may be on the podcast. But I'm going to ask you some very, very uncomfortable questions. Be ready. I saw that video you kicking a train back, years ago? Freaking hoodlum. Jesus. Dude kicks a moving subway train, and it spins him right around like a freaking Chuck Norris spin kick or whatever. Like, come on, man. Thought you was smarter than that. Killing me here. Alright, that's good enough. Let's get this other piece slapped on here. Alright, see, this is a great example. We have not cleaned out the squeeze out here next to this strip, right? So if we were to glue this just in place, right, it would be raised up right up against that. It would basically have to be. Or the closest that we can get it to the same level is right there. And we have like a huge 1 millimeter gap, right? So that's why we need, and it's crucial to clean out this this super glue squeeze out, right? Got to get that out of there. Got to. That makes your builds nice and clean. Leave those edges really, really crisp, right? Who says, "Oh shit, I'm with it." Yeah, he says, "I kicked the shit out of the train. I was young and stupid. Now I'm old and stupid." Nice, Julio. Nice. He did kick the shit out of that train, I'm not gonna lie. Alright, we almost got this cleaned out. It's looking better and better each cut here. There we are. That looks good. Alright, so now hit this section here with a little super glue. Spread this out. Just like that. And then, did we cut a strip for this yet? I don't think we did. Shit. Well, let's get that done. It's probably way too long than what we need, but better to have too much than not enough. Very good. All right. Now, if you guys that came over from Zach's stream are still watching, we use super glue here a lot. Like, a lot, right? Super glue is actually our filler of choice. We don't do filler putties or anything like that around these parts. We use super glue. Rusam says, "I still like calm as you are podcast, but I'm a pun guy." No, you're not. You're a fun guy, Bill. You're a fun guy. Anyway. Bill says if you can get it, rinsing in deionized water will be much better than regular water. Yeah. I don't see the point in buying super fancy water just to rinse. But to each their own. Do what you want. All right. So, we're going to kick this with a little Little activator right there, little insta-set. Let's get back to the other piece here. Let's get this trimmed down much like the first piece. Just like that. Okay, now let's start with this back edge here because we're going to need to do a little bit more work on this back part here in a little bit because I didn't notice it at first, but we've got about a 1 millimeter gap between the plate and the piece here. You can kind of see there by the movement of the hobby knife that we've got a decent little gap there that we have to fill. Not a big deal. We'll just, you know, cut some styrene, stuff that in there, and it'll be good to go. But get that trimmed about the same level there. Let's get this trimmed here to the same level as the strip and the part. And then we're one step closer to building this up. Let's not cut so much off of that, shall we? Let's just kind of nibble away at this thing. Well, too late now. Whoa. That was almost bad. Alright. That looks good there. Now, that's looking pretty good. Let's pull out our good friend, the bastard file, yeah? Get everything on this surface nice and even. Yeah, there we go. There we go. That's looking nice. That's looking nice. And then we'll take it a step even further. We'll get our Minishima grinding plate here. And we'll go to town using this, right? Zeta, new type, new follower. Welcome. Welcome to the Mecha Army. You get one of these. Oh, there we go. Yeah. So now, since we used super glue to fill this in, there's no gap there at all whatsoever. It's just perfectly smooth right here because that super glue acts as a filler, right? It acts as a wonderful filler, I might add. So that is what we like to see. All right. Now, there is some minor level differences between these two pieces right now, which we're going to take care of here momentarily. But first, let's get that super glue out of there. Now, what we're going to do first is we're going to backfill this lower part here with just a bit of quarter millimeter strip here, yeah? And by the thickness of the glue and the thickness of the plastic, that should, in theory, bring us up to the same level. Yeah, that's gonna look nice. That's gonna be perfect. All right, inching ever closer, right? Manny, he says, is the little bastard file make an appearance tonight? Little bastard. Here's the little bastard. The little bastard's a little aggressive. That's why we call him the little bastard, right? So it's just one of those things. With this type of procedure, I don't necessarily need aggressive. I need clean. I need efficient, right? Chris Degger over there on YouTube. Is there a preferred type of super glue? Yeah, this stuff right here. BSI, Bob Smith Industries. This is the Instacure Plus. This is the gap filling 5 to 15 second type of super glue. This stuff I think is the best, right? But then you also get this stuff right here. This is called InstaSet, right? It is for all CA glues, for all super glues and stuff. And basically what this is, it's an accelerator. Now, obviously this comes in kind of a pump spray bottle. I like to rebottle it into kind of this nice little needle dropper bottle. That way I don't waste nearly as much, right? But Chris, if you are having trouble finding those in your local hobby store or something like that, there is an Amazon link below just on YouTube, and just hit that. I have everything curated on my page. They are affiliate links, so FYI. But pretty much everything I use here is on that page, and you can find it really easy. So yeah, it's right. It should be right there in the link below. Fudube always says, will Tim scratch build the vents or use parts sitting around? What vents, Fudube? I don't know. Bill, Mr. Rushlam says, everyone has one that is better for them. Tim recommends BSI CA glue or the Loctite. No, it's the Loctite. It's not like Loctite Red. It's Loctite Ultra Liquid Control. That's what it's called. It's like $3 for a little kind of half-ounce bottle, right? Economy-wise, the BSI stuff is actually cheaper, per unit, right? So this is the little bottle of BSI. This is a half ounce, right? This cost me $4, right? This big old 2-ounce bottle right here, I think is like $7, something like that. $7-8 maybe. Twice the price, but 4 times the amount, right? So trust me, and it's super high quality too. That's why we use it. So yeah, so that's my preferred super glue of choice, Chris. But that's a good question. Good question. All right, so before we get to, well, you know what? We're going to go ahead and trim this piece just for shits and giggles, right? Just clip all that off of there. And then we're going to go ahead and, before we do anything, is clean out that super glue, squeeze out, and then pop that filler strip in there so we can kind of bring everything to the same level. And that should make it a little bit easier to backfill all this, because then we can start using just one sheet of styrene, rather than piecemealing it with 2 pieces here, 2 pieces there. That's going to get super old, very boring, and honestly I will get tired of it. So we're going to bring this all up to the same exact level, and then we'll go to town with one singular sheet to square everything off, and then we'll be good, right? All right, so let's get this guy glued in just like that. There, and then get that popped on. And that super glue is going to fill that gap super nice. That's exactly what we want. Alright. Yeah. Alright, we're going to let that dry. Let's turn back our attention to this one. Let's get the kind of low-hanging fruit trimmed off of there. Looking good. Alright, so now, again, what we're going to do is we're going to trim this down, and we're going to get this all kind of the same level here. Alright, so we had a little blowout on this strip here. Just a little bit. That's not a big deal because we can fix that with this. Okay, that's going to fill that in real nice. We'll hit this with a drop of Instaset. We'll set this off to the side. Let's get back onto the other piece here because that should be cured at this point. Trim this back. Nice and neat. Okay, so now, if you remember this particular piece here, we have not trimmed down to the level of the part. So we need to do that real quick for both of these strips here. Okay. Just let the knife basically use the surface of the piece as your cutting guide, right? That's nice and clean. Very good. Very, very good. Now we'll do the same thing to the upper strip here. Kind of nibble away at it until we get it to the same level as the side of this part here. It's getting super close. That's looking good. That's nice. Okay, so before we go any further, let's get our our Minishima grinding plate here, and we're going to use this as our leveler. Yeah, that's doing a good job. Let's hit this with the big bastard file. This is the big bastard. The big bastard. Yeah, that's looking really nice. Really, really nice. Hit this again on the grinding plate here. And see, that's going back and forth real nice and smooth there. Yeah, perfect. That's what we want. That's exactly what we're looking for. Exactly what we're looking for. Let's get caught up with the chat here real quick. Let's see. Ultraman Dyna, Mr. Luis, he's got a question.
We have a question.
He says, do you paint the polycap joints? If so, do you use the same primer as the rest of the kit? And one more thing, how about metal parts? What primer do you use? Great question, Luis. No, I don't ever paint polycaps. Reason being is because they're, if you don't use like a specialized adhesion promoter on polycaps, the flexibility of them is just going to crack the primer and the paint, and it's just going to flake off. It always has been like that, mainly because it's polypropylene, polyethylene, whatever polycaps are made out of, and it doesn't take paint very well. They never have, right? So no, I never paint polycaps. I always try to find a methodology to cover the polycaps, right? That's so much more dependable and honestly easier at that point too. Now for metal, different story. Yes, you would want to use a specific primer for metal, right? This is Mr. Hobby, Mr. Metal primer, right? This actually is, I don't know, I guess it's more of like an etchant than kind of a primer, but it gives the surface a bit of bite, right? So your normal primer can actually physically bond to this and stay adhered to the metal. So the workflow for that is you've got your metal part, make sure it's clean, 91% isopropyl alcohol to clean off all of the nastiness off of it, you know, body oils, grease, whatever. You hit that with Mr. Metal Primer first, just a nice little shot of this. Then you hit it with your normal primer. So Mr. Surfacer, you know, Tamiya Fine L, what have you, and then you paint your normal methodology after that, and basically you're off to the races. You're covered, right? You just have to take that other extra step for metal stuff. So very good question, Luis. Very, very good question. Bill says, I say red because it's a red and black bottle. What? I don't know, Bill. You lost me there, buddy. Fudabe always says, I bought that Loctite Super Glue Ultra and did not realize it. I have had it for a year or so. Hey. Happy accidents, I guess, right? Kenneth Sim, wasn't Amazon delivery service got disrupted currently? Sort of. They're still delivering what they have in stock. I think they're prioritizing more for essential needs and stuff like that, but they are still definitely ordering or delivering, you know, whatever. Yeah, and they're a little bit slower because obviously they're getting hammered with orders. Mr. Rusham said Amazon is still delivering. They're just a little slow due to the volume of orders. Yeah, exactly. Bill says, I think the last thing I sent out had a possible delay of 1 day. Yeah, expected at this point, right? He says it all depends on if it's in stock and where it's shipping from. Exactly. If it is from overseas, expect a long delay. Yeah, exactly. Old Salty, they're over there on YouTube. Yeah, I have some quick type I bought on the 18th. We'll be here on the 2nd. Yeah, a couple weeks. It's not unexpected at this point. Manny, Mr. McDeo says, man, I'm glad I bought that a few weeks ago, right? Mr. Bill Ruslam says polyethylene. Yeah, Ultraman Dyna. Excellent. Thank you for that. No, absolutely, Luis. Thank you for your question. All right. So we've got everything basically ground down to a common level here, right? Now we've got to get it all figured out on top here, right? So what we need to do first and foremost, you know what, for this we're going to pull out the chisel blade. We haven't used this in a while, but I think it's going to call for it. And then also what I'm going to do is I'm going to prop this up using the 1, 2, 3 blocks. So let's get these sorted here. So we're using magnets on our 1, 2, 3 blocks. We're going to create that L shape, that right angle. And we're just going to lay that down, pop that together. Good. And now that's going to create a prop for us here. That's going to bring the piece up off of the table for me to better work with this, right? It's going to be a lot more ergonomic if my hand is below this piece, so I can actually push into the plastic with this Olfa chisel blade here. So that's kind of why I do this. If you've ever seen like listen to me, Japanese, no. If you ever see jewelry makers, right, like that one Italian dude in the wheelchair who is so freaking talented. They have this kind of like weird wooden horn thing that they work off of, and they're able to put their hand you know, below the level of the piece that they're working on. Same type of concept with this, but obviously it's on our workbench, so that's kind of what we're doing. Greg Blair 88 says, yeah, my new airbrush compressor is coming Friday instead of Wednesday. 2 days is not bad. 2 days is not bad. DT Warrior, he's over there. One of the guys that came over from Zach's stream. He's got a question.
We have a question.
Hey. He says, can you use compound to polish a part after spraying top coat? Absolutely. I know a bunch of people that have done it. But I would, instead of, most polishing compounds go coarse, fine, super fine. I would skip the coarse stage, and I would start with the fine and then super fine after that. But yeah, you can absolutely do that. Get a nice mirror finish. Hell yeah. But obviously you want to make sure that the base is good, you know, so the plastic before you primed it, hit that with, you know, some super high grit sandpaper, 2000, 3000, etc., wet sanded, so it's super glassy smooth. Hit that with your primer, sand the primer with the same kind of grits and everything. Hit it with your paints and everything. Make sure that's all nice and smooth. And then once you lay that that glossy coat on there, man, and then you're off to the races. And then you can use your polish. And then, man, that thing is going to shine. Trust me. Going to take some work though. It's going to take some work, but you put that work in, it's going to be beautiful. I guarantee it. Donnie Baxter, he's over there on our Facebook page. He says, I bought a kit from China and the guy said, hell, send a Christmas card with it. Those dang woodchucks. Rusam says, yes, but make sure you have a thick enough top coat. Yeah. You could also just wet sand 1000 plus sandpaper for the similar effect. Yeah, I would be hesitant to go below 1500 once you hit that gloss coat, because you want that shine to come back, right? And I think 1000 is maybe just a little below threshold for something like that. But that's just my opinion. Zero Kai Nathan, he's over there on YouTube. He says, Tim, his name is Polo Cimadevilla. Yeah, that's the guy. I can never remember his name, but he's amazing. Super freaking talented guy. I'm sure you've probably seen his videos reposted by, you know, stupid video reposters on Facebook and stuff like that. But go actually subscribe to him and his channel. He just puts such just love and attention into his jewelry pieces, but then also the videos are just amazing too, and he does it all. I think he does it all himself, right? So just amazing stuff. Really, really amazing stuff. Greg Blair 88 over there on YouTube, he says, that's 2 more days I have to hear my niece screaming her head off. My old one died Saturday after 15 years. Oh, I'm sorry, brother. That sucks. Let's check in with good old Twitch here, since we're not seeing them over on our global chat. Gunplay Miami Chris, he's over there. He says, yo, Mecha Army. He says, Tim, I hope your family is safe and everything's good, brother. Thank you, Chris. Man, that's awesome. Greek Knockos is over there on Twitch as well. He says Twitch isn't cooperating with his stream deck. Yeah, well, it's not the stream deck, it's the global chat. So he has to manually switch from Facebook chat to here. Yeah, and it sucks, dude. So it might be a bit for him to respond. Yeah. And then Chris says, thanks for the heads up. Oh, that's all gravy. Yeah. Zeta New Type just posted, oh, hello, I'm here. Just quiet. Haha. No, all good, man. All good. You know what? Sometimes half the fun is just watching. You don't even have to interact. Just watch. Just watch and learn. It's fun, right? So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to keep it on Twitch. And then I'll check back over with the Mecha Army Facebook group. How about that? I think Twitch is a little, just a bit more active than the Facebook group. So, all right, so let's get back to this here, shall we? So what we need to do is just even these two up here, because as you can see, maybe, let's see if we can't get, it's going to be tough to see the shadows and everything, but the angle break for this piece is about here, right? Let me just draw the line. The angle break for this piece is right there. Hey now, what was that? Scared the shit out of me. J Basic G, what up? Thank you. Welcome to the Mecha Army. Appreciate you. You get one of these. Hell yeah. Get some. Thank you for watching too. Appreciate that. Let's see. Sweet Baby J, she's over there on YouTube. She says, I'm having a blast while doing water decals. This is some good content. Psh, you're too kind, Jay. You're too kind. But, so the angle break for this piece is right there. And what I mean by angle break, for those of you that haven't watched this before, it's when one surface breaks to another angle. So that corner there, that angle, that's the angle break. Okay? So the angle break for this piece is right there. The angle break for this one is down farther that way, right? So we have a staggered kind of angle break. So we need to fix that, right? So that's where our good old Olfa chisel blade comes into effect, right? Because we can just kind of this whole thing right down to virtually the same level. So we're just going to be super... we're going to have to put that off. There we go. Really secure this thing here because this is so gradual that we're going to need to kind of lock this into place and just really be super, super... We might have to file it down, though, now that I'm looking at it and dealing with it. Yeah, you know what? Let's just file this down because that's not going to cooperate very well for us here. And I think just filing it down might be even quicker now that I think about it. So we're going to hit this with the good old big old bastard file, right? And we're just going to go to town, just trying to get this all one level so we can laminate over this with one piece of styrene. And I think we're pretty damn good at so far. Just a little bit more and then I think we should be good. We're just kind of being ginger with the filing. Perfect. Yep, that's perfect. Alright, so now this angle break, like it was before, it was staggered, but now it's just straight. Just like that. Right? That's exactly what we want. Exactly what we want. Perfect. Perfect. Yeah. Let's see. Rusam says, nice, Jay. Are they Mecha Decals? Hey. John Lynn says, nah, World War II decals. Got some snazzy American ones for my custom alt history Gagoon. Nice. I like it. Greg Blair 88, he says, hey Tim, took your advice from last night's stream and started watching what they do in the shadows, and holy crap, that's funny. Dude, right? It's freaking hilarious. I love that show, man. It's so good. It's so good. That's awesome. I'm glad you're enjoying it, man. It is just funny as shit. The new season starts, I think, on the 12th on FX, so keep an eye out for it. John Lynn says, get use my vintage pinup decals. Oh, get to use. Nice. Those are cool. William Wilm says, you got those pinup girl decals for them? I don't know. Decals? Oh, pinup girl decals for them. Decals. Damn it, Will. Jesus. Sorvon Zero, he's over there on Twitch. He says, seems like your blade is dull. I don't know if it's it might be a combination of that and just the gradual, just the incremental level differences. But it just wasn't catching that plastic. It was just kind of like skipping up and just kind of catching the corner, right? So I mean, it might be dull, but I kind of just changed this blade here not too long ago, so I don't want to think that it's dull, but shit, it might be. for all I know. But it's done now. We're good. So real quick, what we need to do is kind of flush everything out here and make sure everything's filled in, because we've got some nice gaps between the bottom layer of plastic and the actual part itself. So to fill all that in, we're going to use our little plastic palette like we do. Pop a drop of super glue on there, just another little one right there, and then we're going to use our scrap plastic here. It's kind of a brush almost, right? And we're just going to dab that super glue right into that little gap, and that's going to fill that really, really well. Just like that. Perfect. Really good. Really, really good. Now, this little gap here, we still need to fill that. So let's go ahead and take care of that real quick. Now, this is a 1 millimeter strip, and that should. That doesn't fit very nicely. I don't like that. I don't like that one bit. So what we're gonna do, let's see, this is 1/2 mil. That's a little bit too thin. This might be 1 millimeter here. No, this is not. This is 0.75. Oh yeah. Word. Alright, so let's clean that channel out there first and foremost, and then we'll get this filled in, then we won't have to worry about it later on down the line. So we're going to take our chisel here, and we're going to just clean our, just got my finger in that super glue there. We'll backfill that in, that's not a big deal. But we need to clean this super glue out of here, and then that strip will adhere much better in this little gap here, right? All right. Yeah, that looks good. Perfect, perfect, perfect. All right, so we're gonna put that down. Chisel discipline, kids. Always cap your chisels, right? But let's see how that looks now. Awesome. Okay, so clip a small strip of that off. Hold that in our tweezers right there, and what we can do is pop a nice drop of super glue right in there, and then we'll just kind of put our little strip in here, just like that. And to quickly secure this, little drop of Instaset, yeah? Now, we're gonna go back and refill this top section here because I accidentally touched it with my hand and pulled that super glue out of the gap there, right? Okay, good, and then we'll hit this little drop of Instaset, little one more right there, and then we're going to set this off to the side to fully cure, right? So now we come back here. Now, if you remember back a few minutes ago, we're going to move this out of the way because I don't think we're going to need this anymore tonight. But if you remember, we kind of blew out this one side of the strip here, and we had to fill that in with super glue, and then we hit that with Instaset and we let it cure. So now what we're going to do is we're going to come back, we're going to trim that back now, and we're going to start with our hobby knife, We're just going to take the top level of that off. And then we'll kind of come back in for some finishing passes. Get that super nice and clean. And that looks good. Good enough, right? It doesn't have to be perfect right now because all this is going to be laminated over, right? So it doesn't have to be pristine right now. All right, so now we'll come back in. We'll hit this with our bastard file, right? And get that at roughly the right angle here. Looking good. Looking good so far. Oops. And we want that angle break, just like the other one. We want that to be perfectly even straight across the parts, right? So we're gonna hit the flats here real quick. That's nice, and then we'll come back, hit the angle. Sweet. And now our angle break is, let's see. Right across there like that, right? Now, if we match these up, yeah, symmetrical. That's what we want. Symmetrical. Same thing on both sides. Perfect. Perfect. All right. Real quick. Let's see. William Williams says, I hate watching on my iPad. The autocorrect is horrible. Henry says, it's getting freaking hot. Holy hell. Yeah, and Bill says, where? Yeah, I want to know where, too. It's not hot here. It's not hot in Maryland. Shit. Ah, well, Handren, that's your first problem, buddy. You're in Georgia. Sorry. Whoops. All right. So, let's see here. We need to do a little bit of filling with this part. Same as the other piece before. We need to fill in this top section, this back section, and then obviously that little void there too. So let's get that 2mm strip. Let's cut another little section of that off here, and that will be our filler for that, just like that right there. And we're gonna get that into our tweezers, and we're gonna pop a nice big old drop of super glue right there and there. And we're also going to get our palette, pop a drop right there, because we're going to need that in a few seconds. And now, again, same as before, we slot that piece right in there. And that looks pretty good. Hit this real quick with some Instaset so that quickly solidifies what's there, or at least the surface is solidified, and then we can kind of go back here and fill in our top gaps, and then on the side there, or the back as well, just like that. Perfect. Real nice, real nice. Excellent. All right, one more time. Hit that there, and on that side, and then that will set off and let that cure. Now, we'll get the other one back in here. This is all cured up, looking good. Let's get the low-hanging fruit clipped off here. Just like that. And then we can start to trim all this super glue and plastic and all that good stuff, yeah? Now, when you're doing this, this is the thing with super glue. And for those of you that have come over from Zach's, the thing with super glue is that it cures to an acrylic density, right? So it's about the same density as plastic, maybe a little bit harder, maybe just a bit, right? The thing that you have to be careful about is that going from density to density, your hobby knife will have a tendency to skip through and cut very quickly through a piece, right? And it can get a little hairy because then you can cut yourself. And I did that actually on one of last week's daytime streams. And I will tell you what, it's not fun. It's not fun. It didn't hurt. Kind of more wounded my pride than anything, but still, you know, it's just the principle of it. Hey, J Basic G over there on looks like Twitch. Thank you there for the follow. You get another one of these. Hey, 2 in 1 night. What? Come on now. Awesome. All right, so this back section here is nice and flat, all filled in. That's really good. We'll hit this with the file here in just a minute, but let's clean the bottom of this piece here. And honestly, I kind of like trimming and cleaning the piece that we plate as I go, better than in one fell swoop, right? Because if you look at one of the side leg pieces, I just glued this all on there just willy-nilly, and didn't grind and file down these pieces in layers, right? And it's much harder to do it this way, I've found. Kind of sucks, but it is what it is. Hindsight being 20/20 and all. That's how I did the first leg, right? And that's how I did the subsequent two lower panels here. I did this first, this section, and then filed down each layer to be even, and then laminated a piece on top of that, filed that down, another piece, etc., etc., right? That piece that I showed you before, I didn't do that. I just stacked them all on top of one another, and it's just a pain in the ass. What are you gonna do? Chris Degger over there on YouTube, he says, best thing about super glue, if you cut yourself, you can use it to close the wound back up. That's actually, it's funny you mentioned that. That's actually what we did on stream. And it's, well, this was just like a little hangnail here, but just right there was the little cut that was made. It's basically healed almost 100% now, but yeah, we did the super glue band-aid. So one of those little tricks, right? Hanron says 72. What? Come on, man. 72 is nice. Bill says 72 can be hot with the wrong humidity and depending on the normal temps for that area. Yeah, maybe. We don't get a ton of humidity in Dallas, so we call it hot at 100 plus. Well, yeah, because that's a dry heat, man. God, when I was out at Phoenix last year for Sabaton Con, it was like well over 100 degrees, but like nothing humidity, and I was completely comfortable. I was not sweating. I was just, man, this is actually pretty nice. And then like everybody else out there is just like, you know, panting like a dog, right? In a hot car. It was kind of weird. I was super comfortable. So it's what you get for living on the East Coast, because that's where all the humidity is, right? Sucks. Maryland, in August with 100% humidity, forget about it. Ugh. I'm sure Georgia and South Carolina and all the other eastern states, seaboard states, are probably the same way. The farther north you go, the little bit less of the heat that you get, but kind of the mid, kind of coast, and then south, cancel Christmas. It's horrible. All right. That's nice and flat. Let's hit this back with the little file here, the little jeweler's file. It's looking really nice, nice and flat, right? And I see out of the corner of my eye the chat just popping off right now. Let's see. Zeta New Type, he's over there on YouTube now. He says humidity is the enemy. When I lived in Texas, I was in that dry heat and it was good. Yeah, right? Ranger Chris says 2% humidity is a muggy day for Arizona. That is true, right? Donnie Baxter, he's over there on Facebook. He says that's because it's a swamp. Yeah, it's true. Hendren says it is. Helio's like, nah, bro. Right now it's 76%. Yeah, it's a mildly high, right? Mildly high. It makes it enough to be uncomfortable. Oof, yeah. Julio says 100 and 100% humidity on the subway. I think I just threw up in my mouth a little bit just thinking about that. Ugh, no. Zeta New Type says, I went to Dragon Con in Atlanta. That humidity is no joke. Yeah, dude, it's like up and down the eastern seaboard. It's just, forget about it. John Lynn says, I hate dry heat. What is wrong with you, John Lynn? Jeez. Bill, Mr. Russom says, my problem with humidity, Louisiana, for instance, is your clothes weighing 50 pounds from the heat, or from sweat. Yeah. It sucks, right? Because you go outside, and boom, instant sweat. And it blows. I'm telling you, it sucks. It's terrible. It's the worst. But that's where we live, right? So, all right. So, holy shit, wait a minute. It's already 11:52. Where did the time go? Jesus. Okay, let's keep going a little bit. What do you guys think? You good with that? We keep going just a little bit longer, maybe go over our 2 hours. Just because I wanna try to get one of these sides buttoned up. Maybe we don't switch back and forth. Maybe we just kind of power through one side, right? So we're kind of getting... What the... Who's messaging me? Andrew Smith. Andrew, why are you not on the freaking stream, dude? Killing me. Michael Dawson, do it. Right? Yeah. We'll keep going. We'll keep going. Zeta New Type was over there on Twitch. He says not here in Indiana. Not bad though. Word. Hell yeah. All right. Let's see. William Williams says humidity should only be on a tropical island that you're vacationing on at the beach, right? Charles Dodd says for those familiar with heat work cats. Fort Benning, Georgia hits heat. Oh, categories. Hits heat category 5 at 5 a.m. in June. Yeah, no, that just no. Hendren says it blows big time, right? John Lynn says I don't sweat in humid weather. It's the weirdest thing. Yeah, it is weird. Julio, Mr. Clippin' Nubs, he's like, Brooklyn is an island, right? Old Salty says, yeah, humidity sucks when they use the term oppressive. That tells you something. Yeah, it means you're not going to be comfortable that day, no matter what. Foodie Bear always says, no way they might try to charge you for humidity, right, at the beach. Henry says, try to airbrush while the humidity is in the mid-80s. Your moisture capture gets full before you get done. Yeah, that's why I have all my stuff inside, right? I know that that's a luxury, but still. Manny says, keep on going till 1. Maybe. Edward Leonard's over there on YouTube. He says, I live in Florida for the last 27 years, and I call it hell. Bill Ruslam says, since I should already be asleep for work in the morning, yeah, go ahead. LOL. Say the New Types over there on YouTube. He says, LMAO, you said Andrew, and that's my real name, and I thought I did some crap. Oh, dude, no. Another Andrew. My bad, dude. Sorry. But that's funny, though. That is funny. All right, let's get this trimmed up here. And then we're just going to power through this one piece, and then we'll get this squared off and all that good stuff. Okay. Looking pretty good there. Let's hit this with the file, this angle. Looks good. Nice and square. Gonna have to backfill this little bitty corner there just a bit, but that's not a big deal. That's not a big deal at all. All right, so now we can really get to work here and pound through this thing. Let's get, yeah, okay, cool. So we can use this nice big 1 millimeter strip of plastic here to. Shit, that might square our corner. Might square our corner. So let's get a big old hunk of this going here, and we'll clip that right about there. Secure that in the tweezers. Let's get some glue. And it's a good thing we marked the break line there, right? Because that's essentially our kind of gluing guide. Because that's where we want this strip to be just above, right? Okay. Perfect. Perfect. That is going to look good. Little gap is filled in with our super glue. And while we're at it, let's try to fill in that little gap that we talked about earlier. Fill that in. Right? And then we'll come back, hit this right there, right there. One more on that side, and we'll give that a few seconds to quick cure and dry, right? Let's get caught up real quick in the chat, yeah? Let's see. Yeah, because you guys are talking a mile a minute here. Let's see. Ruslan, Mr. Bill says, I've lived in Dallas for 37 years, love Texas, but West Texas, where humidity dropped to nothing and temps dropped 30 degrees with sunset is way better. Whew. Yeah, I guess. Handren says, even outside, LOL. William Williams says, Lil Andrew should be your first guest on your podcast. Handren says, I don't see him around the streams anymore. Good. Kid's annoying. Anyway. Let's see. William Williams, not since we heard about his date, right? I remember that. First question, Lil A, why White Claw, right? Nice. Rusam, Mr. Bill says Lil A is hiding from all his friends on YouTube. He probably sent Tex some Robotech memorabilia again. Maybe. Ken Sim says, what happened to Lil Andrew? He's around. He's, kids just, I don't know. Lil A, where did you hide that girl's body? Jesus Christ, Will. Yeah. Saz Kisaragi is over there on YouTube. They say, what's the project tonight? I missed the beginning. We are working on GBWC 2020, hopefully. And what we're doing is retrofitting a Jesta base to be kind of a remixed RX-78. So what we're doing is padding out the kind of tapered end of the Jesta forearm. We're just plating that up, and basically right now we're just waiting for the glue to dry. So super glue, not to me extra thin or anything like that, or else we'd be here all night, right? And we're going a little long tonight, simply because I really do want to get this plating done here on stream so you guys can see kind of the finished result, right? All right, let's get the low-hanging fruit clipped off here. And for those of you that are new, the low-hanging fruit is just kind of the overhang when we plate something up here. It's not an official term. It's just something that I use from back in the day. Cool. All right, and then we're not gonna clip this edge here just yet. We'll hit that with the hobby knife in a moment. But first, let's get the edges cleaned, because that will be a lot easier than anything else right now. Let's make sure we're in frame. That would be a good idea, right? All right. Good, straight across. Let's get this bottom trimmed appropriately, yeah. Good there. All right, and then last but not least, this top portion here, and then we'll start to get the flats trimmed down and even, because like I said, this 1mm piece that we laminated on may get us to even. I don't know. We'll kind of have to see here in just a second, right? All right, so that's all trimmed down. This side here, the back and the bottom, that's all good. Now we need to make this flat. So what we're going to start by doing is just kind of taking off the corner with the hobby knife. And I think that'll get us started at very least, right? We just kind of took that hard edge and we just kind of beveled it down nicely. But we still got at least a good 0.5 millimeter of hard edge there on this piece. So we've got a bunch of material to still take off. And the more and more I'm looking at this, the more and more I'm thinking that this will probably get us to square. So, with that being said, let's... Saz Kisaragi over on Facebook says, I'm rooting for you. Good luck and thanks. Hey, thank you. I appreciate that. That means a lot. That's awesome. That's very nice of you. Appreciate it. Bill says, ever since Lil A started on his resin building, he hasn't shown himself. I'm good with that. Fudobi always says, Tim is working to pay off that debt to Tom right now. Yeah, right? Fuck that game. I'm sorry. Pardon my French. But no, I do not play that game. That is not going to happen anytime soon. And it's cool if you do. Don't get me wrong. I'm not I'm not in it. I'm not in it. Not me. Not me. You know what? You know what this calls for? This grinding of that material? Yeah. You know him. You love him. It's the little bastard. Now, we need to explain for the new folks. This is basically what's called a bastard file, right? It's a nice flat file, very aggressive in the tooth and everything. But it's a little mini file, right? So we call it the little bastard. This one is a normal bastard file, and then this one is the big bastard file. So big, normal, little bastard. I know it's dumb, but just go with it. Jeez. So we're going to get the little bastard in here, and we're going to really go to town and take this material down to even. Because we've got a pretty good amount of plastic to remove here to make this thing nice and flat on the sides here. So we use the aggressive stuff first, and then we'll fine-tune it after that. Man, if this doesn't get us to square, I will be super, super surprised. Because as of right this second, and this is we still got a ton of material to remove, the angle break is right there. That's basically like a 3/4 millimeter away from being completely square, right? So we're going to continue to go with this and make this nice and flat, yeah? Haha, sweet. Alright, so that, just that little bit of sanding just blew right through that angle break, and that got us square. Yeah, cool. Alright, so now we're going to switch off to the normal bastard file here, because this is a little bit finer in the tooth, and this should get us very, very close to a finished look, right? We still got a ways to go, but you can see how that's starting to square really, really nicely, right? That's what we're chasing. That's what we're chasing at this point. Man, we are edging ever closer to 100% smoothness right there, and that's what we want. We're going to put the bastard file away. We're going to get our grinding plate, our Minishima grinding plate here. Big shout out to Luis again for his generosity when it came to all this. Mr. Ultraman Dyna, using this quite a lot on this particular process, wherever you're from in the world. And ooh, that's getting there. I still feel just a little hint, just a little hint of catch there on the fingernail, just right there, man. But we're super close on this. There we are. All right, so this is the medium grit. Let's grab the rarely used, the fine plate here, and we're going to just finish this off just to a perfectly dead flat surface. And look at that, you can see the sheen difference between the non-sanded part here, right, which is this part, and then the dull sanded ground part here. And that, I'm gonna tell you what, it's just dead ass smooth right there. That is just dead smooth. All right, we're not done yet. We need to do just a little bit of trimming on the sides because from the grinding and everything, it left just a bit of kind of gunk on that kind of spills over onto the other side. So we just need to kind of trim that back ever so slightly. And then we need to reapply the bevel here as well to this edge, right? Okay. Now, for evenness of this bevel, we're going to grab our sanding block. Just kind of reinforce that bevel there on that side, and then we're going to do the same thing to this angle here. And now that is nice and completely smooth. Now, one thing that I am going to do is just going to just hit this with the file here and just make sure that is just dead ass smooth there. And that looks pretty dang good. Let's hit that with the sanding block now. Actually, let's hit that with a little bit of a finer sanding block here, just so that we're looking pretty good, right? Let's turn this around so we can get a better grip on this. Yeah, that's nice. And this back section here, hit that. And nice, very nice. All right, now let's see something here. Now there was a back bevel to this back part here, so let's get that recut just with our sanding block. Just to make that nice and even, just a little bit more aggressive with that. And let's see. That's very, very, very nice. Let's just fine tune this edge here. Really good. Really, 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 really good. All right, let's put this back on the piece here just real quick and see what it looks like. Kind of all done up here. And we'll put the other unfinished piece on here as well so you can kind of see the difference, right? But let's first get this little hanging strip there. Get that pulled off. And there is what we're looking at, right? Let's get that centered up and let's get super zoomed in. Get our box pulled up here. Get that centered there in the box and 5x. Woo! Look at that. Look how nice that looks. Man. Let's pull back just a bit so you can see just a bit more. We'll pull back to about 50 millimeter on this lens here. Steady that, and there it is. Look at how nice and square this edge looks, right? And that's just all one flat surface that we can work with now. It's really good. That's really, really good. I'm very, very, very happy with that. It's looking nice. And you can see just how just against that gray, how just dead ass flat that surface is, right? And you spin it upside this way. Man, that is just doggone flat right there. Looking good. Yeah. I'm super glad that we finished this on stream, honestly. So you guys can get a clearer understanding of how we build plates out, laminate, pieces of styrene to fill out like an angle or something like that, right? Now, another method that you could potentially use is to fill this section in, excuse me, with epoxy putty. Now, that is one method, and you could definitely do that. My main worry would be the thin areas, right? The very, very thin areas, especially at this leading edge here. Since that's filled in with super glue, that makes it super, super nice because it forms like a plastic underneath, where epoxy putty, there is a difference in density there, so you can get a bit of a dip between the two materials, right? If you use kind of a nice bigger file, you can definitely try to avoid that. But man, it's still like, I just love the plastic plating methodology to it rather than epoxy putty, because obviously you can see right here it's so much quicker comparatively, right? We just did this in about maybe an hour or so, and we were working on two sides here, right? With epoxy putty, it would take you maybe 10 minutes to apply it and then 8 hours to let it cure, and then you have to shape it down and sand it and all that good stuff. So this definitely is the quicker method for something like this. Now obviously it depends on the size of the piece that you're plating out or bulking out or what have you, reshaping, etc. But for this particular piece, this is a much quicker method to doing this. So, and with the plastic, with it being plastic, you can scribe through this the whole 9 yards, and it would be just the same as going through Bandai plastic at that point. So, really good stuff. I'm very happy with this. Very, very happy. Now I just have to do it on the other side. But that'll be for another stream, right? All right, so let's get caught up with the chat just real quick, and then we're going to put a bow on this thing and put it to bed, yeah? Foodie Bay always says Tim is working off to pay that to Tom right now. Yeah, we actually read that, right? Bill Ruslam says, I doubt Tim plays that game. I know I don't, but maybe he watched the Tiger documentary. Oh, that stupid thing on Netflix? No, I did not watch that. And honestly, I don't really want to watch that, but it's getting a lot of meme play and stuff like that on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that. So, I'm not with it. I'm not with it. Manny says, yay, little bastard. Right? Edward Leonard says, funny thing, Dean asked some hand painting questions and I tried to help because I do it a lot and it really felt like I wasted my time because he disappeared. He acted like little A. I mean, maybe he just ran off to try it. We don't know, right? But that's Dean. He pops in every once in a while. He's like one of those little whack-a-moles. You hit him on the head and he pops up someplace else, so it's all good. Bill Ruslam says, the little bastard, not to be confused with little A. People call him a bastard. Now, let's be nice. He's not here to defend himself, right? Ultraman Dinah says, yes, sir. Talking when we were looking at the Minishima plates. Hell yeah. Kenneth Sim says, what Tim does in Animal Crossing still doing modeling, I think? No Animal Crossing for Tim. Ruslam says, I think I remember Tim saying he is a FPS player. Used to be, right? The last game I played, honestly, was like Borderlands, the pre-sequel, right? It's been a while. It's just a time sink, and I don't like that. I have much more important things to do with my time. And that's just me. I don't care what you guys do with your time, but that's just me. William Williams says, question.
We have a question.
Okay. He says, if you remove the mag from the gun redesign, will you remove the mag rack from the other hand? I don't think so. And I actually thought about that a little bit. What are we going to do with the Jester rifle, and how are we going to remix that with the RX-78 beam rifle, right? And let's get zoomed out, because this is actually a good topic to discuss and kind of talk through. Let's get rid of the box. There we go. Okay, so now let's put the arm off to the side. So what you're seeing here, this is the Jesta. This is the stock Jesta rifle, right? In all of its glory, I freaking love this particular weapon. But then on the Gundam Origin Master Grade, you've got this guy here, right? And that's the kind of the OG RX-78 beam rifle, right? But then on top of that, you've got this guy, which is just kind of the more Origin updated version of the RX's beam rifle, right? And honestly, I really, really dig this top version. I really, really do. Now, obviously, we want to bring aspects of the RX beam rifles into the Jesta rifle as well, right? Now, as much as I'm going to hate to do this, yes, the suppressor here is going to have to come off, right? There's no getting around that. Because the beam rifle front portion obviously will kind of need to go on in its place here, kind of like that. And that's not a bad look. I think that's a really cool look still, right? But obviously we can't just stop there. We're gonna have to find a way to mount the big old sight freaking light thingy here, whatever that is. It's kind of dumb looking, I don't know, but still, we're gonna have to take that and do something with it. Now, one portion that I really, really like from the Origin is this guy right here, right? So what I'm thinking is we pop off that and kind of replace it with that there, kind of like that. I think that's starting to look really, really nice, right? And then what we could do is let's see, how does this all come apart here? Does this pop? No, that doesn't pop off like that. Is that sandwiched in there? I think so. But I think what we can do is we can attach this kind of weird barrel sight light thingy to somewhere up top here. But then also too, what I want to do, this little nubby detail thing here, obviously I want to incorporate that into the rifle, and I think what we're going to end up doing is kind of cutting off a good kind of 5 millimeters off of the back stock and just kind of creating a flat surface back there, and then putting this little nubby in its place. But I think as a start, I think that looks really, really quite nice. Now, what we could do, we could go even crazier, and we could just go... We could go long rifle, like almost like that. That could kind of be interesting. I don't know. The length may be a bit too long, right? The length may be a bit too long. I kind of like... Yeah, I like that better, actually. Because it's a bit... The length is a bit more akin to what the Jester rifle was, right? You're swapping out the beam muzzle for the suppressor from the Jesta. You know, it's kind of a straight swap. And I kind of like that. Definitely keep the magazine in there, so that it makes sense to use the magazines in the forearm and everything. But yeah. And hell, I mean, you could honestly spin it as those are swappable power cores or something like that, right? I don't know, but I like that look. I think that's what we're gonna go with, or at least the beginning of what we're gonna go with. So, great question, Will. Great question. Bill says, I think he said he was intending to remove/remodel the magazine rack on the other forearm. I thought about that, but then I'm like, do I really want to? I want to keep aspects of the Jesta, but I also want to remix it to the RX, right? A good amalgam of both, right? So, yeah. Chris Degger over there on YouTube, he says, have you ever thought of 3D printing parts for your custom work? No, not for GBWC stuff, because that would be disqualified, so no. William Williams says, Tim says 3D printing is cheating, probably until he gets a printer himself. No, I'd still kind of think that, honestly. Mind you, if it's not for GBWC, then I think it's a little bit of a different concept, but I still like to build it with my hands. That's just me. DT Waro says, thank you, Chado Mecha, for the stream. Nice company while I'm building. See you next time. My regards to the little bastard. I love it. Thank you, DT Waro. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Chris Degger says, haha, might be cheating until you have to design all your own parts in 3D program, but I get it. Yeah. Rusam says 3D printing is cheating for GBWC. Now, if they change the rules, he might consider it, but since these builds are meant for GBWC, he won't go against clearly printed rules. Yes, that is definitely a fact, right? Definitely a fact. Let's see. Edward Leonard says, it took me 3 months to get those sanding plates. Well worth the wait, aren't they? They're sweet when you need them, right? MacDio Manny says muzzle brake. Yeah, I don't know, whatever. Terminology. Hey. Chris Degger says, oh, cool, thanks for the info. Did not know it was against the rules for GBWC. Yeah, it's one of their big rules, too. Kenneth Sim, did the muzzle just break? No. It's just different parts that... Because this one is from the origin part, right? And it just kind of pops onto there, where this longer one goes to the OG beam rifle. So no, I think I like that a lot better. And what we can do is to we can cut off just this little barrel. It's easier to see on the white stripe, but this little barrel piece here, and then this tube here can probably just slot right over that existing portion and kind of shorten it down just a little bit more. And I think I'll like that. So, yeah. Whew. Anyway. All right, you guys. Good times. Good times. All right. It's 12:30 here. Excuse me. Michael Dawson over there on the Mecha Army Facebook group says the handle on the new Gundam, maybe something like that with your idea towards the back of the beam rifle. Yeah. With like the knobby thing or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna chop these up and just kind of go with it and go with the flow, but I want to keep the base shit, and you guys, I'm pointing at shit that you guys can't see. I'm sorry about that, but I'm gonna keep the base rifle as the Jesta rifle. So I think that'll be good. So, all right, boys and girls, good stream tonight. I think we got a good stuff, some good stuff done, right? All right, so hey, if you're new, if you came over from Zach's stream, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you want to see more of what we do, you can catch me every day of the week, because I'm a full-time modeler now. 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern. We are working on the Team SD build at those times, but then Mondays and Wednesdays, we're here at this time, 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. We're working on the GBWC build, right? But then Fridays, 10 p.m. to 12 p.m., we got Mechanism, and we just kind of cut loose and have shenanigans and all that good stuff. So take note of the schedule. Like, follow, subscribe, all that stuff on all the various social medias, and you'll be kept up to date with what we're doing here. So thank you again, guys, for coming over. For those of you that are old school, die-hard watchers of the stream, thank you, too. I appreciate you. Let's finish this one out on a good note, shall we? So, oh, wait a minute. Bill has a question. Whew, Bill, you snuck that sumbitch in just at the right time, buddy.
We have a question.
He says, are you also making a bazooka for it? I'm thinking about it. Because I got the Origin bazooka here. But I don't like this big flary muscle thingy, right? Edward Leonard, $2 super chat. Buddy, thank you, man. Edward's always hooking it up. He says, please support Tim and his endeavors. Thank you. I appreciate it. I really do. Every little bit matters, right? So, Edward's awesome. But anyway, I hate this little flary bit here. I don't like that. The rest, obviously, we can remix that and make it look modern and cool and up to date. But I'm going to think about it. I got to give it some more thought. The rifle, I think, is a little bit more straightforward. That bazooka, we gotta do something with that. I think we got to brainstorm on that a little bit, and that's going to come down the line. That's going to come down more down the line. So, anyway, all right, kids. Now we're going to end. If you want one of these cool-ass Bear Guy shirts, hit up www.chadamecha.com. Hit the store button up at the top. You will find this shirt, many more, hats, all sorts of cool stuff, prints and everything. Go stock up. They make wonderful keep-your-ass-at-home gifts. If you are interested in any of the tools and materials that we're working with here tonight, like the BSI Bob Smith Industries Super Glue, the Insta Set, all that good stuff, there's an Amazon link below here on Twitch and YouTube. That side, if you're watching on Facebook, go hit it up. I do make a bit of a commission based off the stuff that you buy, but it does not increase the cost for you. So go. It definitely helps to go support the stream and me and all that good stuff. So, like I said, I'm doing this full time now, right? Aside from that, if you need kits or paints or whatever, Mecha Decals, which are shipping now, hit up our good friends right down here, USA Gundam Store. The fine folks down there will definitely have what you need. So I will be back here tomorrow at 3 p.m. We're going to jump back onto this Team SD build. So until that time, be safe out there. Wash your hands. Go build something cool. Have a great night, you guys. I will talk to you later. Bye.